Hey everyone, welcome back. I am getting ready to work on my third project using this month's cards, tags, and more kit. I still have the flourishes and that pack of flowers here, plus there's the stamps and the die. Sorry, I have a cat trying to break in, so it's kind of distracting me. And I have some scraps, and I have one full piece. I saved this one. I liked the stripes on it. And for my stash, I just went and got some various 8.5 by 11. Yeah, 8.5 by 11 pieces. So I'm gonna try to make a few different cards. See what I can come up with. So I'm gonna cut down my cardstock and get my bases prepared, and then cut out the pieces from the pattern paper to use on them. I have been working with my scraps, getting pieces kind of ready to be used, kind of put together. Oh, you can't see. Over here, I'll bring a couple of them. I have cut out some strips out of a couple of the papers. I have 6 total that I am going to turn into rosettes. I used my Tim Holtz rosette die from my stash. So I'm going to turn some of that paper into rosettes. Some of the papers, as you can see right here, I punched out some hexagons, a couple different sizes, 1 inch and 1.5 inch punches here from my stash. I have, this is a sheet of, an adhesive sheet. The same type of adhesive sheet I used on my doilies in my first project. Just left that there. And I stuck a bunch of pieces of paper to it, just so that I could use the whole 12 inches. And I'm going to, this is kind of some of the stuff I'm working on. I have bases made up. I found a use for one of those, the negatives from my first project. Wait, hold on, let me grab that one up. From my first project, when I cut the doilies out for the top of the little booklet, I kept the negatives, and I put one of them on what's going to be the card face. This is the slimline size card, so it'll be 3.5 by 8.5. So I have that. I'm just going to keep my bases off to the side while I work on the decorative part, the front parts. Get that back out of the way. What was I? Oh, yes. Because this side, I am going to use the doily die from this month's kit to cut out 3 more doilies here, and then line them up and lay them into this negative space. This is just a blank. I have some blue cardstock. This is a 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 square. I have this striped piece that I'm going to use on that. Still working on exactly what I'm going to do for decorations. I have another slimline sized one with the stripes going this way so that it would open like this. This one, I have it so that that flower print is there. This one, another slim line sized one, so it will open this way. And I still have some scrap pieces over here that I'm going to be working with. But first, I'm going to go cut out my doilies, separate the pieces, kind of start putting things in order. This is just a blank, and I did it so that this side would be sticky because I'm probably going to use it and lay down strips, kind of make a stripedy kind of thing here. And I figured it'd be easier to build up if I had the adhesive already on here. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm just sort of explaining stages as I go along. And so after I get some more pieces ready and get them cut, then I think I'll start assembling. I'm going to cut and then start kind of assembling or something like that. Something like that. Kind of start getting things going in a finished direction. I have, this is just, it was a 12 by 12 sheet of just white cardstock, and I added another sheet of that adhesive sheet to it, and I cut it in half just so that I could separate it and so that it would fit through the embossing or my Sizzix. So one of these halves I'm keeping just like this, and another half here I have some partially used Prima rub-on foils. This set actually was in the August 2019 mixed media kit. You can see I've used the gold a bit, so I'm going to stick this partially roughly used piece down onto the sticky side, and as soon as I figure out which side peels off, there we go. I'm going to peel this up carefully, just get it started so I can, I'm going to just put this little cut piece on first, and it'll give me something to hang on to while I work the rest of the backing off. There we go. Now I can peel this off and stick this down as I work it. Now I'm not going to peel the foil off until I do some cutting. I have the die from the kit. I'm going to cut out of one of these areas. I have some dies from my stash. There's a Heidi Swap die that says Imagine, and I'm going to chop that out of there. And then I have a Concord and Ninth die. It's a shadow die. It says Lucky. There we go. Like so. So I'm going to do the shadow on a different paper, and I'll do that one out of here. And I have some Tim Holtz Thinlits. The skeleton leaves. I have the skeleton leaves. I'm going to do this one here out of this. So I'm going to go take this over and cut out these pieces. And then on the one that I kept all together, I'll cut the rest of my dies out. Well, not this one. This I'm going to cut out of one of these pattern papers. I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to go cut, and then I'll cut these pieces out again on here. At least the doily and the leaves. And then I think I'm slowly getting my pieces together to put my cards to get my cards assembled. I'm just going to go over again. I made a 5x7 on some lavender cardstock. And there's those, that one again. I did put all of those hexagons, the 1-inch hexagons, on a slimline sized background. And I just kept punching until I had enough to cover everything to go with the ones I had already punched. And on these 1.5-inch hexagons that I have, I put some foam squares So I'm getting those ready. My rosettes are all put together and they're ready. And so now I'm going to get some more of the details ready to go before I start kind of moving into the assembly process. I have some pieces cut out. There's leaves that have the gold on them already. And I know what I want to do to cover up the other sticky areas that are currently white. I have just some plain cut out of the other half of that white cardstock that had the adhesive sheet on it. And I'll probably use embossing powders, maybe glitter, if I can find. I don't have a lot of glitters because I don't particularly enjoy glitter. So if I have a color I like, maybe I'll dig into glitter. I punched out more hexagons just in the plain white with adhesive on it in case I need them. I have on all these little stars and hearts and sparkles. They're part of the Lucky die set, which I have those cut out. This is my Imagine, and I have it all put together. I'm not going to take it out of the die because I don't want to lose the little dots for the eyes. So I'm just keeping that there right now. And then I have put together another 5x7 card base so that it'll open like so. And I'm going to add this band on it. It was a die from my stash, a Spellbinder's Flower Garden die there. And I just cut it out of one of the pattern papers. And this gold paper here, this gold cardstock, it was actually in my scraps. I think it might have been Simon Says stamp, but I couldn't say with absolute certainty. And I'm going to now after I get this die out of my way, there's that, I'm going to use my emboss and transfer set from Sizzix to squish the gold paper up into the die cut holes. And for that, you put your let me just grab it. Hopefully I can remember this right. Your platform here. And I don't know, I won't need the A. I might need the B adapter. Not sure. Might not need any adapter. And then a base cutting plate. That. And a squishy. Actually, I think the squishy goes here. So that it'll squish up. Oh, the squishy goes underneath the die. And then your the plate that comes for the emboss and transfer set. I'm pretty sure that that's how it goes. Hopefully I remember correctly. So I'm just going to go do that real quick. Oh, and I have pulled out some lace that I have from the June 2019 scrapbooking kit. I like the dangly part of it. I like the dangles. So I think I'm going to stick a few little bits on a few of the cards, a couple of the cards. I've almost completely got all of my parts ready for assembly to start. I'm going to go do this real quick and then come back and finish off these partial. Well, I'll show you on a bigger one what I have planned for these die cuts that have bits of white that still shows through. I almost forgot to mention, when you run this through, I'm going to put this on it. You can feel it when it gets in place, lined up with the previous die cut, and then run it through with the silicone underneath. And there you can see how it has a little bit more dimension in it after being ran back through to emboss through that die. Okay, now, and I'm going to show you on this doily just because it's bigger and easier to work with, and because when I do it to other pieces, they will probably already be attached to the card front, just because some of them are so small. But what I have in mind is, after, if I can hopefully get that plastic up. I just got to get it started in one spot. And there you can see after I peeled off the plastic, or at least most of the plastic, I probably should not have put the transfers on first. I did not think that plastic would be so hard to get off. Some of these may never get the silver put on, but we'll see. I just added silver onto those exposed areas, and now it has more of a holographic shimmer to it because it has that silver and gold. So that's kind of my plan for the pieces that have white showing. Hopefully it will work out a little bit better than that one did. Now, for assembly, I am just going to start putting things together and assembling them. I don't know what colors yet. I haven't picked them out because it will probably depend on which background I decide to put things on. Same with these flourishes. These flourishes will make an appearance, and I will probably be using some embossing powder on them. And my flowers will finally make an appearance from the kit. And I still have my stamps that will eventually also find a home on various cards. But to start, I'm just going to grab a base and start getting things put down and put on, and finally get these cards assembled. All right, I have my cards put together, at least the major portions of them. I'm still going to be using the stamp set with some embossing ink. The embossing powders that you see on here, which I'm going to go over real quick. I have some Ranger Gold embossing powder. That's what's on this card. And I have some white embossing powder, which is what the Lucky is on here. Oh, and this glitter is a Martha Stewart Carnelian. I think it was Carnelian. It's in my product list on the blog, but I don't have the bottle next to me. And then this embossing powder on this card was the Patina Bronzed Copper that was in the April mixed media kit from this year. So those are the embossing powders that I used. And now, I'm going to use, these are just some pieces of, some scrap pieces of vellum that I have in my stash, which I'm going to use probably for the majority of the stamping and embossing here. And I'm just going to, I might add another set of, these are just some kind of orangey rusty colored sequins that I put here, and I may add a few more. I haven't decided yet, so I'll keep it there. And then I have, I'm just going to pick this whole tray up instead of trying to move the individual parts. I have all those other little cut pieces, the hearts and the stars here. I used those little sparkly ones on this card all around those rosettes. And I don't think I'll use any of these bigger, the hexagons or the doily or these extra leaves. I don't think they'll be getting used, but I do kind of want to add a few of the hearts, maybe the stars, to some of these. So that's where I'm at. I'm just adding some finishing touches to my cards and adding some sentiments from the stamp set that came in the kit to these. Okay, my cards are done. They have little bit, I added a third set of the sequins, and on this card and this card the sentiments are just stamped with some stays on in timber brown. I didn't really do any embossing or anything for these. Then let's see, this one I added some of those punched out or die cut hearts, and I don't have a sentiment on here, but I used that stamp like this and added it in just a few places. This one embossed on vellum, and this is just some single-sided foam sheet or single-sided adhesive foam sheet that I used for this, and under here just to pop up the sentiments. And well, there's that one that I just cut it or punched out a circle, cut a foam circle to match, and stuck the sentiment there. This one, another rather plain, or I guess plain. It's not a 3D one, I guess is what I say. There's ones that stick up, and then there's flat ones. So this is another flat one, and just white embossing powder on vellum and across the center there. And this one, the sentiment and some stars on there. And even though when I had originally made this one, I had thought of doing it this way, but I actually like it vertical. So I punched out circles. This is a 1.5 inch circle, and stamped the party on there. And then just to kind of even things out, I put some 1 inch circles in the vellum here and here, just to kind of go with that punched circle there. So these are my set of cards. I have a few now ready and on hand. I hope that this gave you some ideas of what can be done with the papers and stamps that are found in this month's Cards, Tags, and More kit, and the flowers and the die and chipboard flourish. Yeah, and then the rest of it, the sheeting, the foil sheets, and the few of the dies, the rosettes, all the cardstock I use for my bases. Those are all from my stash. But even if you just have strips from other projects left, you can just stick them together like I did for these. Even the negative cut from the dies I found a use for on this card. So I hope this gave you some ideas on what you can do and what can be done. And thank you for joining us here at Tres Jolie, and I will see you again soon.